years old, born and raised on the west side of Detroit. He is a graduate of Cass Technical High School and is the founder of Linking Literature. I apologize if I say sometimes I get stuck with some words. This organization doubles as a global platform for writers to showcase their talents, but it is also grassrooted in the city, working to improve literacy rates among inner city youth. Their goal is to put 1 million books into 1 million kids' hands. Let's welcome Mr. Stephen Farrar.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all feeling, man? Y'all kind of quiet. That's a tough act to follow. But yeah, just a little about myself, like Ms. Catrina said, born and raised on the west side of Detroit, graduate of Cass Tech High School. And I want to piggyback on what Dr. Reed said about stereotypes. So one of the main motivators in me starting a literacy organization was to kill the stereotype that if you want to hide something from a black person, all you got to do is put it in a book. That's something that just never sat well with me. I think as black people in our communities and in the society that we live in, we kind of get pushed to choose between being smart and being cool or tough or whatever you want to, however you want to call it. But you know, I'm 26 years old and I think I just learned as a grown man that the toughest thing you can do in life is to be smart and showcase it. Now, I'm going to tell you what's crazy about me starting a literacy organization is that growing up, I hated to read. I hated it, I hated it, I hated it. For the kids in the room, how many of you like to read? Okay, how many of you don't like to read? Come on. But no, I was the same way. And I don't know if you all are like this, but part of the reason that I hated to read growing up is because reading was always given to me as a punishment or as a chore. It's like, oh, you're not doing what you're supposed to do in class, you acting up. Go over there and read. After you get your book. But because of that, it made reading come off as with a negative connotation. And so one of the things that, actually some of the best advice I ever got in my life when I was 16 or 17 years old was that as a black man, I'm gonna have to learn to love to read. And I'm gonna say that to you all again, for those of you that don't like to read, learn to love to read. You're not gonna just automatically love it, but you have to train yourself to do that. Reason being, actually for you all, I wish I had it like that growing up. You all can pretty much go Google any answer you want. But no matter what it is, you're still gonna have to be able to read the information on the screen. Actually, that's pretty much gonna be the most fundamental tool you have in your life right now. And so one of the things I want to suggest for the kids, but then also the parents in the room, is that go from seeing reading as a chore to seeing it as an outlet for entertainment. You want to read and parents, you want to make your kids read as much as they play the video games, go outside, watch TV, and then just to piggyback on what Mr. Michael said is reading a book can take you on an adventure. When I started reading for entertainment, it was hard at first. It was kind of boring because I was still, even though in the back of my head, I was thinking I was having fun with it, I was still seeing it as a bit of a chore as I would do it. And so as I actually started valuing those books as a source of entertainment for me, it took me to a place that, you know, I never knew I could go to. All throughout school, I scored low in reading comprehension. And I didn't realize the reason for that is because I just wasn't digging into it. When I was in 11th grade, I had a teacher, Miss Davidson. She was sort of the first person that stressed the importance of like just reading to me. And shout out Drew and L'Oreal, and I think Sean, you might have been in Miss Davidson's class too. But she would just always say when she gave us something to read, like, hey, don't look at this as just another homework assignment, but really dig into it, because you're not just doing it for a good grade, but you're doing it for yourself. Also to the fathers in the room, and then all of the parents in general. But I'm gonna speak specifically to the men right now. A lot of times, and especially as black men, we hate showing our weaknesses. Right now, just in the city of Detroit alone, adult literacy is a real issue. And it's not a bad thing. You know, we think it's a bad thing when we look weak, especially looking weak to our kids. And what we don't realize is that the longer we avoid going to learn how to read, the longer it's going to take for your kid to learn how to read and get the things they need. And so as black men, you know, I stress the importance of that, because the longer it takes for you, and I'm gonna say us, because I don't have my stuff all the way together, but the longer it takes for us to get our things together, it's gonna take your child that much longer for them to get themselves together. And so there's nothing wrong with getting the help you need. Embrace it. You and your child, you are to learn together. Now, speaking seriously right now, and this is sort of where I'm gonna wrap up, to stress the importance of literacy right now in the home. About a year ago, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that students in Detroit don't have the right to access literacy.
Yes,
this basic right. I have a real problem with that, because, and I'm gonna give you all a history lesson because it's Black History Month. Back during slavery, which I just want you all to know your history did not start with slavery. But back during slavery, it was illegal for us to read. If you got caught with the book in your hand, it could have cost you your life. And so the fact that now in 2019, we have the highest court in our state putting those same type of barriers on our children is completely wrong. Any third graders in the room? One? And it's so important that you take reading and literacy serious. And one thing that a lot of us don't know is that one of the things that they base prison funding and just the projected need for prisons on is third grade literacy rates. And the thing about it is they don't go to the communities outside of Detroit to get that information. They come to your school. And so they'll go to the schools that they haven't funded well, they haven't staffed well, they haven't given the proper resources to, and say, hey, oh, these kids don't know how to read. Guess what? We need to give $1 billion to this jail over here because they don't know how to read. They're going to end. That's where they're going to end up going. And so they're literally betting on you not being able to read. And so for the kids and the parents, you have to push that into your kids and into yourselves. You know, aside from everything else, because the whole system is betting against us. And so, you know, the last thing I want to close out with the kids is just know how powerful your brains are. If you look over the course of history, and as black people, the society we live in has sort of taught us to value our bodies over our minds. That's completely backwards, and it will keep you working for someone the rest of your life. I push entrepreneurship as well. Myself, I was struggling when we started into literature. I think I was eating a pack of noodles every other day. We didn't have any money, we didn't have one book, but what we had was people that cared about us, that cared about the kids. And so we reached out to our community. And so we're going on our 5th year, and we've been able to put so many books in kids' hands. We still got a long way to go to get to 1 million, but that's our goal. And, you know, I just want to say thank you to everybody else in the room, all of the panelists, but definitely thank you to Mrs. Catrina Hurst, no disrespect. And actually, she's been supportive. I think I first met you, what was it, 3 years ago now? And I actually met her through Keith and Pam Bailey. They helped, their security company sponsor our first book drive, right? And along with Mike and Drew Sports. And since then, I think we only had about 250 books at that book drive. We didn't have hardly any support. Most of the help came from you all. And so, but what not only inspired me, but just what I respected and admired so much about Miss Catrina is that when I went to her daycare, every kid in there was well behaved and doing what they were supposed to do with no supervision. That's very, very hard. So that says a lot about Miss Catrina. And then also, she's teaching kids as young as 2 or 3 years old to grow their own food. So I think the things that you're doing are very important to our community. It's going to be needed.
all are so kind and sweet. I give God all the glory.